Ciara Conway.
I welcome the opportunity to speak on this very important matter, and as someone who's worked in the area of child protection, I am only too aware of the need for greater emphasis on the rights of children and within the constitution of Bunreacht na hÉireann, particularly in relation to the types of family that are recognised within Bunreacht na hÉireann. I am a lone parent and unrecognised in the constitution. It's an area that needs to be improved to bring Ireland up to date with international best standards. Everybody is only too aware of this, to protect the most vulnerable members of our society and indeed to literally protect our future. The changes being considered by the Joint Committee on the Constitutional Amendment on Children contain many important elements, such as giving children themselves a chance to air their views on adoption. And frankly, it's frightening to think that we've come this far without officially enshrining that as a right. As far back as 1996, the Constitutional Review Group pointed out that the Irish Constitution needs to be worked on if we were to measure up to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. 2 years later, a UN committee pointed out, and I quote, that Ireland's approach to the rights of children appears to be somewhat fragmented. You might argue this evening, Deputy McConalogue and Fianna Fáil's approach to the rights of children is still somewhat fragmented. And I ask why. Because they have a situation where one aspect of a very important, complex area needs to be pulled out and thrown into the spotlight without consideration for the wider context. Everybody agrees that the issues surrounding adoption need to be addressed. There's no group that doesn't agree with that. But this doesn't exist in isolation. This is a part of a wider, complex and very sensitive area. And yet here we have a brazen example of Fianna Fáil wading in, proposing a quick build because it looks good on the surface, much like some of the ill-thought apartment complexes their builder friends were so fond of throwing up in the Celtic Tiger era. And that leads me to my next point. What exactly did Fianna Fáil do during their tenure in government? What happened in those Celtic Tiger eras for children? As my colleague, the Minister for Children, Francis Fitzgerald, so rightly pointed out yesterday, this is an issue that Fianna Fáil-led government failed to put to the people for 14 years. So you have a cheek to come in and decide to cut and paste in relation to this issue. Deputy McConalogue has accused the government of doing a U-turn by not putting the referendum on children's right to the people on the day of the presidential election. Well, I for one am delighted that the decision was taken not to hold it on the same day. What that shows is that the government is actually showing a deep understanding of the issue and recognises that it's an area that needs work. We in the Labour Fine Gael coalition believe that the wider issues deserve space to be properly debated and put into the public arena so that people can have an understanding of what's at stake. The government is 100% committed to strengthening children's rights, and we will have a referendum on this next year. So if Deputy McConalogue wants to criticise the government for taking time to think about an issue and make sure people are aware of the facts, that's fine by me, but I am glad to belong to a grouping that thinks that this is an important issue and deserves time. The presidential election so far has so many candidates entering into it. It's only natural that the media are going to concentrate on personalities and would not give the time to this referendum that is so important. But then it seems that Fianna Fáil might not be interested in the presidential election, given that they have nobody to fly the flag for them. Understandable, I suppose. Maybe they'd consider backing an affiliated candidate, if that was possible, to vote by ringing or texting a premium lime. Well, I'm sorry, Deputy, but that's not how our democracy works. To conclude then, I'd like to commend Fianna Fáil for, at least by the virtue of these debates, attempting to highlight one key area that needs to be tackled. However, lumping the issue in the race for the presidency would be a heavy-handed and ill-considered measure. We should not support this fragmented bill from Fianna Fáil, as it is only one part of a wide-ranging area that needs to be tackled. Let's give the Joint Committee on the Constitutional Amendment on Children space to put the final touches on the wording and to help protect our future for future generations. The people of Ireland will have a chance to have their say on this important issue. Let's make sure they have the space to consider it. And if I could be so bold to coin a phrase, think of the children.